Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. This is Coach Rose AJ, Carnivore Girl for life. Y'all, part of my journey this year is to help other people with sharing other people's stories, right? And so today, who is here with us is Russ, the homesick Buckeye. I want to say, Russ, I always want to call you Homestead because of Homestead How, but homesick Buckeye.
Shout out to Carrie, that's
So
my brother. Shout out to my brother Carrie. That's yeah, he's
yeah,
out there.
yeah. So I just want to turn this over to you, Russ, for you to share your story in as much detail as you'd like or as briefly as you'd like. And if there's any questions that arise on my end, I will ask them. But I'm just wanting to take this opportunity to get to know you better and to share you with my audience. So I'm going to mute myself and you take it from here, my friend. Thank you so much again for joining me today.
Oh, it's no problem, Rose. Happy to be here. What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Russ Mitchell, homesick Buckeye. For those of you who know me and know my channel, appreciate you being here. For those who don't know me, don't know anything about me, I'm just a regular guy. I'm just like everybody else out here, trying to be healthy and well, and have come across ketogenic living, and it's changed my life, probably saved my life. And, so from this point, you just want to share the message with everybody, get out here in these YouTube streets and, just share the message, spread the word, try to help as many people as you can and support, our medical doctors who are also in the ketogenic space and show people that, you know, we're your neighbors, your friends. We're just regular folks out here. We're doing it. We're striving and thriving out here, moving, grooving, steadily improving, doing what we do to get healthy. And for me, when I got first got into this, it was important to see, just folks, regular folks talk about themselves, talk about their lives, what they were doing. It was important for me to see people who had done it for a long time. I wanted to see longevity, because again, when you think, when you think about it, even now when I think about it, it's crazy. It just flies in the face of everything we've ever learned, everything we've ever been taught about health and wellness and nutrition. So, it helps to see people and hear their stories, see their results, before you do it yourself. At least it was for me.
Okay, with that being said, how did you begin and what prompted you to actually start? Was it that you wanted to just go on a new health journey? Was it weight loss? Was it mental? What prompted
Yeah,
you to begin this way of life?
it was weight loss for me, initially, and mostly because I'm kind of a unique. I'm an odd bird. You'll find out if you get to know me or anything about me. I'm a little different in pretty much every way. I didn't have any health problems that I knew of other than being just too heavy. I wasn't sick. I wasn't sickly. I've never taken a medication other than antibiotic in my life. Never spent a night in the hospital. Didn't have aches or pains or trouble sleeping. None of that. I was just literally putting on weight, and I was at the point where I just couldn't support my weight. I don't know how much I weighed at my height because I didn't weigh myself for 30 years. But when I did weigh myself, it was 548 pounds. And, it kind of made sense, the problems I was having. I joked about I was carrying two NFL linemen and their dog with me basically everywhere I went, in life. So but I tried to lose weight the conventional ways, doing what everybody's taught you to do: eat less, move more, get rid of all the fatty meats and the that eat grains and fruits. I went vegetarian for a little bit, and I was actually gaining weight. It was not working. I had heard about low carb or ketogenic living about 20 years ago with the Atkins program, but much like today, it was worse 20 years ago than it is today in terms of the public and the perception. And I didn't stick with it, even though I did have some results from it because I just thought it was a heart attack diet. Shout out to my man Charger Mopar. That's what he calls what we do here, the heart attack diets. And I thought, I thought I was trading my long-term health for short-term weight loss. And I didn't want to do that because, again, I didn't have any other health problems. And so I didn't want to have heart attack and stroke and all these clogged arteries on top of being overweight, So I just never took it seriously, that type of living. But fast forward several years later, after I was trying to lose weight and gain probably another 30 to 50 pounds, I actually literally sat up in bed in the middle of the night and, decided I was going to try it and I was going to do it. And I didn't care because I felt I was going to die anyway. Um, you know, that's literally what I said. What do I have to lose? I'm going to die anyway. At least I'm going to die trying to fix it. And so, I started researching and came across, um, several people, but the most impactful ones were, Dr. Barry. Of course, shout out to Doc Barry, my man there. And Kelly Hogan was important at the beginning, certainly, and others. Um, but I figured out pretty soon that it wasn't just a fad. It wasn't something that was going to kill me. In fact, it was the proper human diet. And so I began a process. It took a little while to get, my carb numbers down, to under, 15 a day. And that's kind of where I'm at.
So I'm curious. So I tossed in my career of corrections back in 2019. I retired early because of just the stressors of the typical. I worked in corrections. So I did that for 23 years, trying to push to the finish line of 30 years. But when I turned 50 with perimenopause, menopause, everything that was going on, I was an angry Black woman, superwoman cape, and I had hit my rock bottom in June of 2018. And God firmly told me that if I tried to push the line to get to my 30-year retirement, I would spend the next 7 years digging myself out of a depression and I would never be restored to my optimal health. So, with that urgency, I started preparing because when God speaks, I believe in listening. And it was just so forceful. I was doing a lot of different diets like Dexatrim, X-Lax, over exercising, just doing everything, balling out of control since I was 12 years old.
Mm,
And I had started gaining weight that I had lost in perimenopause. And I'm very focused on my looks, and athletics and stuff like that. And all of that was declining, but my mental health had been slipping for years.
mm,
And so, with that being said, I was first introduced to the ketogenic diet through my daughter who was selling supplements. Went down a rabbit hole, but I didn't begin my journey until 6 months later on December 2nd. So, how long did it take you after finding out information and jumping in and deciding that the ketogenic lifestyle was right for you and then, acclimating to your 10 or 15 carbs per day? How long did it take before you began? And the second part of that is where are you with it now? Are you transitioning into a more meat-based carnivore diet, or are you pretty much sticking with the 10 to 15 grams of carbs per day?
Well, 10 to 15, if you take 10 or 15 carbs over 2 or 3 meals a day, it's not very much. I mean, it's I get most of my carbs from sauces, condiments. I use salsa, guacamole, things like that. I don't eat, fruit or vegetables with any regularity. Um, I consider myself carnivore. I don't even really like the categories. If you follow me or know anything about my channel, I'm a carb number guy. I think it's easier and simpler for people. And, I think the ketovore, carnivore, it tends to get a little clicky and people like to segregate themselves. And I'm just not into that. It's all ketogenic living. If you are low carb, high fat, high protein, low carb, whether that's zero carb carnivore, whether that's 15, 25, 50. Dr. Barrett teaches us up to 100 carbs a day, depending on your age, your lifestyle, your activity level. It's all ketogenic living. And people slide back and forth. People come in, maybe at 50 to 100 carbs and slide down to zero. People come in at zero, slide back up to 20 to 40. People are all over the place. And when I'm evangelizing, because that's what I am. I'm a ketogenic evangelist. People don't, you, you know, most people, believe it or not, don't even know what a carnivore is. And they darn sure don't know what a ketovore is. But they know numbers because everything in our health is numbers. Our glucose, our A1C, our weight, our blood pressure, it's all numbers. So when I'm evangelizing, I try to get people to identify their carb number. How many carbs a day do you eat? Most people have no idea, and then work from there. So that's kind of my philosophy with all of that. I consider myself a carnivore, even though some people will say, "Oh, well, you eat salsa, so that's not get out of here." I just don't have time for that. This work is too important. If we both make a pound of ground beef and you put some salt and pepper in yours and eat it, and I put a little sauce on mine and eat it, our plates are basically the same. And at
Yes.
5, 10, 15 carbs, it's metabolically, it's not even worth talking about. So that but to answer your I got a little bit on a little rant.
Oh,
But
I love the rant. I love the rant because I couldn't agree with you more. And the
I'm a big
clients and
tent
the people
guy.
that I work with, I
Yeah.
tell the same thing. If you are aware of your carbohydrate
Yes.
level and how you select the carbs, you're going to do you. You're going to find a pattern where you're going to land naturally,
Right. That's
right?
right. And
So go
I'm a
ahead.
big tent guy. Listen, if you're a zero carb carnivore, hallelujah, you have found this program, you're living your best life, you're getting healthy. If you're at 500 carbs, hallelujah, God bless you, you have found our community. Let's come on in here and let's get that thing on down. Okay, I want everybody and anybody in our circle, in our message, even people watch my channel who don't even do ketogenic living because they think I'm interesting or funny or they like the characters or the things that I do. Um, those people will eventually, I think, get sick and tired and need to make some changes, and will eventually come to start lowering their numbers. And if you know how many carbs a day you're eating, you're ahead of 99% of people on this planet. So
Right.
I don't I don't like to get bogged down in little silly things, and I don't like to segregate myself. Come one, come all, big tent. Let's all work together to spread this message and to heal the world. But
And
to go
definitely,
back, sorry, go ahead, Rose.
then definitely what works for you will not work for the next person and the next
That's
person
right.
and the next person, right? So
Right. That's
since
right.
I've been on this journey, I've been on the journey, right? So even though I've leveled out, there's some things that I still am working on, right?
Sure.
So a lot of us have food addiction. Mine was straight up food addiction, sugar addiction, processed food addiction. So with that being said, you might be able to tolerate certain things that
Yeah.
I would never even be able to consider
Ab-
because of my history,
Absolutely.
right?
No doubt about it.
All right, so back to the original half of the
The
question.
original question was how long, all that. And again, that was my story's a little different than most. From the time I decided that I wanted to embrace ketogenic living and I was going to try it, to the time I actually got into ketosis, because that was my goal. I watched Dr. Benjamin Bickman explain ketosis in a way that just moved me. And I knew that was my way out, ketosis. That's the answer for me. I got to get to ketosis. And my first initial thought was, well, if I starve myself, I can get to ketosis maybe in a few days and I can, and then I stopped. I stopped myself because I know me, I know who I am, I understand myself. And I said, no, I don't want ketosis to be my starting line. I want ketosis to be my finish line. I want to fight the battles now. I want to go through the process now. And when I get to ketosis, I'll be home free because I'm a creature of comfort. I'm a creature of habit, routine. That's who I am at my core. I always go back to my normal. I always go back to my routines. That's how I'm wired. That's how I'm built. And I knew that I was so far away from where I needed to be. I mean, you're talking to a guy that routinely ate 600 to 800 carbohydrates a day. Okay, that was a typical day. And on some days north of that. And to get down to 20 or below, man, I mean, that was like the Grand Canyon to me. And it took me the better part of a year to get to ketosis. I thought it would take a few months, honestly, when I started. I made a list of all the things I needed to get out of my life, and I just started working on getting rid of them. But it was very difficult for me. I kept going back to my old ways because that's my normals and my routines are like a gravitational pull for me. They're always pulling me back. But I knew that once I got high fat, high protein, low carb as my routine and my normal, that it would have the same effect. And that's invariably what happened. So now when I'm eating things that maybe I shouldn't, I get pulled back to beef, bacon, butter, and eggs because that's my normal, you know. But it was very difficult for me. I'm a very I'm a free spirit. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. I'm not a very strict. I'm not very military in really virtually any aspect of my life. It'll be all right. I mean, that's kind of the kind of guy I am. I don't worry about things. I don't obsess about things. That's who I am at my core. And so I don't beat myself up. I don't get down on myself when I'm having trouble and struggling. I'm like, hey, tomorrow's a new day. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. I got today. I'm gonna just try to win today. And so, like I said, I really thought it would take me a few months. I really did. A few months turned into a few more months and a few more months, but I finally, got to ketosis May the 22nd of 2023, and I just been uh, working like everybody else to just keep it between the lines. But again, I'm not as strict as others. That's not what I do, and that's not my lane in this keto streets. There's a lot of people that struggle in this life because there's a lot to overcome. For some people, it's easy. Some people it's not so easy. But you have to overcome, like you said, your food addictions. You have to overcome, your habits and your traditions and your routines and your normals. You have to overcome the image. Your doctor may be telling you this will kill you. Your friends and family are telling you this will kill you. There's just so much to overcome for a lot of people. So we need the strict people. We need the strict channels. We need those people who are going to be, I say it all the time. I'm not a Navy SEAL. I'm not trying to be a Navy SEAL. I don't need Hell Week. I don't need to torture myself and kill myself to do this. And in fairness, I mean, I want to backtrack a little. You have to want it. Okay. I say this all the time to people. Moving to this way of life doesn't have to be painful, but it will be uncomfortable. And there's a difference between discomfort and pain. They're not the same thing. If it's painful, if you're torturing yourself to live the ketogenic life, something's wrong. It shouldn't be torturous, but you are going to experience some discomfort because that's the price that's paid for life changes, whatever they are. So you have to want it and you have to be willing to be uncomfortable, but you don't have to torture yourself and that sort of thing. And so, for me, and there's a trade-off. I've lost 50 pounds since I've started. To me, that's a tremendous feat. I've never lost 50 pounds in my life. Okay. I found 50 pounds a bunch of times, but I never lost 50
Mhm.
pounds.
Yeah.
I've never in my life bought a smaller size. I did something a couple months ago I've never done in my life. I started a bin of clothes that are too big for me. Now, could I have lost more weight if I were stricter and challenged myself? Oh, maybe, but I also may not be doing it at all because I
So
know me. I
let
know me.
me
And if it's too much, I'm not gonna do it. I have to do it at my pace, at my speed. And yes, I could have lost 150 pounds if I'd have done it the way others had done it, but I can't do it the way they do it.
So this is the thing, what I really love about what you said, how you started and you expected your journey to get into ketosis to be a couple of months, but it took longer than that. It sounds as though you were really patient and realistic with yourself. And I like how you listed out what you needed to work through. And that keto being in ketosis was your end goal.
Yeah.
And I have to say for myself, I did everything in reverse. I jumped in to rip the band-aids off,
Yeah.
but I
I'm
had
not a
to work.
band-aid reaper.
Well, I had to work through
Yeah.
problems. I kept, like you said, going back to your old habits, kept having arguments with myself. I'm very structured, I'm very routine. So I get the routine that you're talking about, but I just wanted it all and I wanted it all immediately. But I
Oh,
really,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I really like what you said that you took your time and
Well, I've
was
had this
really gentle
conversation.
with yourself. That's very
Well,
nice.
but here's the thing, Rose, and I think this is important, and I think it's something that is not discussed enough. You have to know yourself because it's very easy in anytime you want to change anything in your life. Okay, it's weight loss. Well, I had a friend that did Weight Watchers. I had a friend that did Nutrisystem. I had a friend that I know right away I could never do that. I could never join Weight Watchers. I ain't counting no points. I'm not
And
keep tracking it. I'm not keeping track of that stuff. And I'm not eating those little TV dinners and trying to keep, man, I'm not doing that because I know who I am. And so for me to say, well, my buddy lost 50 pounds on Nutrisystem. Let me try that. I'd be a fool. It's a waste
and
of
be
their
wasting
waste
your
of my
money.
money because I know me. And so when it came to going about this, again, I know myself. I understand how I think. I got a firm grip on it, and that comes with being an older person. I mean, I know I look good, but I'm almost 55. I know I look good for 55. But shout out to all the low carb ladies out there, all the keto cuties. I see you out there. I see you. But being at an older age and knowing myself and understanding myself, I knew that I could do it, but I knew it would take a little bit because I understand how I think, I understand how I process information. And I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to give up. I was going to keep trying. Um, but because I understand myself and know myself, I was able to put a plan together that I knew I could execute. And I wasn't trying to be something that I wasn't. And I've said this a million times, and people don't like it well, I wouldn't say don't like it, maybe they don't agree with it. I'm perfectly happy to lose this weight the same way I gained it.
Nice and
I'm
slow.
okay. I'm okay with that.
Go ahead.
Gain this weight in a week or a month or a year. I don't expect to lose it in a week or a month or a year. To me, that's unreasonable. And I can't sustain that. And the sustaining is more important to me than anything. I'd rather lose 50 pounds and keep it off the rest of my life than to lose 300 pounds and gain 250 back.
Right on.
Either way, it's 50 pounds lost, right?
Right.
But one is
Right.
torture. One is torture.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I didn't want, again, knowing myself, understand, I didn't want to do that. I started out, and this is something again in life that I do a lot. I begin with the end in mind. I said, where do I want to be? How do I want this to go? Where do I see this, long term? I got to start today with that in mind. And so I said, hey, what can I do that I can do the rest of my life? And that's pretty much how I look at all of it. That's why I don't really do the challenges. I don't do the fasting. There's nothing wrong with it. God bless those. I love it. I support them. Doesn't work for me. I'm not interested in doing anything for the next 30 days that I'm not going to do the rest of my life because I plan to live this way until I'm dead. I
Yes.
plan to eat the way I'm eating, live the way I'm living until they put me in the ground. And that sustain over time, that consistency, that's what's going to pay the dividends. And that's the way I want to do it now, or that I have to do it. I've met many, many people who are like, oh no, I got to get this weight off today. I got to get rid of this weight tomorrow, and that's where the yo-yoing comes in because they end up doing a bunch of things that they can't sustain. And so great. You torture yourself for 6 months, you lose the weight. Now what? You got the rest of your life. I did an interview with a gentleman named Todd Bachnis. Shout out to Todd if he's out there. Um, Carnivore Cure, and he lost 300 pounds twice in his life. doing things that he could not sustain long term. And to me, I said, "How did you survive that? I don't know if I could survive that." And he said it was torture. He said every day I'd wake up and I'd say, "Is this the day that I crash and burn? Is this the day that I can't do this anymore?" And inevitably that day would come and he'd end up going back. And I'm like, I can't imagine losing 300 pounds day by day, starving yourself, doing all this goofy stuff, and then gaining it back pound by pound by pound. The mental, forget the physical, disappointments or whatever, just the mental turmoil of that, watching all your hard work and all your sacrifice and all that just slowly be pulled away from you. I can't imagine it. I don't want that. So for me, I'm gonna, live my life. I'm going to do the things that I do every day, 90% of the day. It's kind of a 90-10 thing. I have my normals, I have my routines, I have what I do on a normal everyday basis. I'm going to keep doing those things. Here and there, life happens, family events or holidays or people drop by, family comes in to stay, whatever. I don't lose any sleep about it. I don't stress over it. I don't obsess over it. I just live my life. If I have something that's out of the norm, I have something that's out of the norm. Guess what? I go back to my normal the next day. I'm not going to
Oh,
beat myself up. I'm not going to hang my head. I don't use the word cheat. I don't cheat. There's no cheating in my world. I live my life. I
right.
have what I do normally, 340 days a year, and I have what I do the other 25 or so days a year. And I don't, like I said, I don't lose any sleep in it. I don't worry about it. That's the way I do it. And I get scrutiny for it. I get scrutiny for it. People don't like that I'm unapologetic about it. They think, I get it. I get all kinds of things. Oh, you don't take this seriously, and they're kind of right in a sense. I don't take really much of anything seriously. I've been hearing that since I was about 6 years old. I was
Yeah.
always the class clown, always goofy, and that kind of stuff. I'm still that way. I don't take myself that seriously. I'm silly, goofy. Pretty much everything is funny to me and silly to me. That's who I am. Like I said, easygoing, kind of free spirited. But trust me, nobody comes on here and puts their life out and takes the scrutiny and the ridicule and the criticism um, if they're not serious.
On
Um,
top of that, who is someone else to say, because of the way they're doing their life, whether they're taking it seriously or not? It's like you don't know me, homie, right? You only know me on
right,
the screen or the public
right.
setting.
That's
You don't
right.
know what goes through my mind. I'm only sharing this side or my pains and my woes, only what I choose to share. That's the only thing that you're seeing, but you don't know me like that. So how can you judge me like that? And it's like you need to judge yourself before you judge others.
Yeah,
And
I made a video about it. You want about the haters, and I made it. Of course, everything I do is pretty much a joke. So I made a joke about they secretly just want fruit and vegetables so bad, and I told them I'd sneak them to a safe place where they can get them some guacamole, some salsa in an undisclosed location. And they can let the tomato juice run down there and just not have any shame.
oh
I
my word.
make light of it, but there are people who are zealots. I don't care what lifestyle movement, whatever, whatever. There's always people who are zealots, who are absolutists, who don't, have any room for anybody that does it a little differently. I don't care whether you're a Christian. I don't care whether you're in the keto life. I don't care, just whatever. There's always somebody somewhere criticizing. And,
Yes.
like I said, I don't take it to heart. I've even had people, believe it or not, send messages to my friends in the keto space. Like I'm really, Adam Lacey at Carnivore Today and Carrie Mann over at, Homestead How. I mean, so many others that I'm really, really close with. And they send them messages. I can't believe you have that guy on your channel. I can't, he's not serious. And he's and I get it because I'm unapologetic. That's the part I think that really gets at people. If I eat a slice of pizza, I don't come on the screen and cry and drop to a knee and weep.
Right. Or
Oh,
beg for
give me
forgiveness.
forget.
Right.
I ate a
Right.
piece of pizza and I feel so terrible.
Right.
No, I say, hey, yeah, I had a slice of pizza. I wanted two, but I only had one.
So that is
You know what I mean?
progress, right? Right.
Exactly. And
Right.
I keep it 100
Or the
real.
fact that I didn't eat I don't know if this was you, but back in the day, I would eat a whole pizza, some buffalo
Absolutely.
wings, and then
Absolutely.
some and be looking for it. But
And
it,
drink
like
a
you
six
said,
pack
it
and drink
is
a
your
six
life.
pack of something with it.
It's your thing. It's how you're doing your life and your
Yeah.
preferred protocol.
But
So,
when I started, I thought to my, I mean, I just, again, beginning with the end in mind. When I started the thing, I said to myself, it's impossible to think that I will never again in life have another carbohydrate.
right,
I
it's
mean,
unrealistic,
it's
especially if you have
unrealistic.
eggs in your protocol. If you
Yeah.
eat eggs, you're still getting carbohydrates somewhere.
Well, I'm talking about, you know what I mean? I don't
I,
mean,
I know I'm being
I'm talking
sarcastic
about,
here.
yes, high carbohydrate
I
food.
know. I
It's
know.
like, it's crazy to think I'm never, ever in life again, ever going to have a donut
Yeah.
or ever going to
Mhm.
have a cookie or ever, ever again have a slice of bread for the
Mhm.
next 40 years of my life.
Mhm.
That's not realistic for me.
Right.
Now, maybe there are people who can do that.
Yeah.
I just know better.
Mhm.
That's not going to be my life. There are going to be times when I have some potatoes. There's going to
Yes.
be times when I have some fruit or whatever. It's
Mhm.
going to happen. So I need to minimize and manage that thing.
Mhm.
Okay. And I did need to get it 99% out of my life, which I have and I do. Um, but it's crazy to think that I'm gonna somehow turn into some superhero from the planet Carnivore and never ever again ingest another, slice of bread or 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 a piece of cake. It's crazy.
And
So
then,
I had to craft and put together a program, as I said, where my normals, my routines. Listen, I only spend about 3 weeks a year away from my house, like
okay.
most people. Most
Yeah.
people take a tour, unless you have a job or something that really, calls you away a lot. The average
Mhm.
person takes a maybe a 3 week vacation over the course of a year. The other 49 weeks a year, they're between the four walls of their home. That's what I worry about
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
49 weeks a year that I'm in my controlled environment, controlling what I'm doing here. The other 3 weeks when I'm on vacation or when I'm, at holiday or at a party or something, I take it as it comes. There's only a couple days a year where I'm like, I know it's going to go down. Thanksgiving
Oh, it's
Day
gonna go down
is on and popping.
and
You know
be
what I'm
happy with
saying?
it. Yeah.
Other times, yeah, there's a couple times a year where I know, hey, I'm probably going to get out of my norm.
Yeah.
The other days, I don't plan on being out of my norm. I just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
And I will say this, even when I'm outside of my normal,
Mhm.
it's not like it used to be.
Amen.
Nowhere even close. I mean,
Progress over perfection.
yeah, the sugary drink is really a thing of the past for me. I laugh about it sometimes because, on a football Sunday, I could drink 6 to 12 cans of soda. I mean, you got the 1 o'clock game, the 4 o'clock game, the 7 o'clock game, and we start at noon.
Mm-hmm.
By 9 o'clock, when the last 10 o'clock, when the last game is over, I done ate a whole pizza, probably
Yeah,
a sub, and drank 10 sodas.
I got you.
That was my life.
Yes.
You know, I mean, a 1,000 carb day.
Mhm.
Or whatever.
Easy.
I
I
don't
hear
do the
you.
math on it,
I
whatever it is.
I hear you.
That was my old life. McDonald's, fast food, Burger King, a typical meal at any of those places is 200 carbs. Any
You're
kid,
gonna do it and do it right and enjoy it. It
yeah,
is.
if you get a quarter pounder with cheese with fries and a drink and two apple pies, that's probably 250 carbs. I did that all the time. That was my normal.
Hmm.
I didn't do a lot of cooking for myself. I did a lot of single bachelor kind of guy. I did a lot of
Yeah.
eating out, a lot of fast food, a lot of DoorDash and deliveries, pizza 2 or 3 times a week. That was my life. 5, 6, 800 carbs a day. That was my life. I now get less carbs in an entire year than I would in any given 2 week period of my old life.
Got you. I
I mean, think
got you.
about that. Think about
Yes.
600 carbs. I mean, I 600 carbs a day. I get now, like I said, I do a lot of zero carb days. I'd probably say 2 or 3 days a week I'm zero carb. And then the other 4 or 5 days a week I'm, 15, 18 carb, just depends.
Hmm.
But you're talking about, we'll just say 100 carbs a week,
Okay.
52 weeks a year. That's 5,200. We'll throw in another 800 carbs for holidays and weekend. That's 6,000 carbs a year
Harrison.
versus a guy that was eating 600 carbs a day.
Mm, mm, mm,
So
mm.
you think I'm going to get bent out of shape because,
No.
you know, I had a cookie when I was eating, when I was eating,
Yes.
3,000, 3 to 4,000 carbs a week at one
Yeah.
point? Absolutely
Yeah.
not. So yeah, it's all relative.
So, can you describe for us what your typical day looks like as far as what your routines might be, your
Sure.
self-care, your personal growth, whatever you want to, you know, talk about, and then what kinds of foods do you absolutely enjoy now that you're eating that you didn't even think maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago that you would have thought that you'd be eating on the regular?
Well, I can answer that one for you right away. I like it. I like everything. So,
Amen.
yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
there's nothing
Yeah,
like spaghetti
yeah, that
squash or
no, no.
tomatoes that
Well, I don't
stands
eat that
out.
stuff. I don't eat that stuff.
No, I mean,
I
a few
don't.
years ago you were still eating that kind of stuff, but you don't eat it now. So for me, mine would have been spaghetti squash, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm not eating that zucchini, I'm not eating that. But when I started going into this sphere, I started sampling with that and I'm like, oh yeah, I really, really enjoy it, but it doesn't
I
agree
don't.
with
Yeah,
me. That kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't eat any of that stuff. I don't eat any of that stuff. My typical day for me, um, I have a rotation of beef, ground beef, steaks, brisket, oxtails, just I kind of rotate those things around. Um, and lamb, I eat a lot of lamb. Um, and then of course eggs, and I'd snack. Those are the couple of things I got to work on in the to get better. I do a fair amount of snacking. I need to stop that. Um, and I'm naturally kind of lazy, so I don't do a lot of exercise, and I need to get better at that. Those are probably the two areas that I want to target on to just get better at. But a typical day for me, it's I get up in the morning. I usually am up around 9 o'clock or so, and I will have something and eggs. Could be steak and eggs, bacon and eggs, ham and eggs, sausages and eggs, lamb and eggs, some type of something and eggs, and 2 cups of coffee with cream and a little bit of stevia or Splenda or monk fruit extract, just enough to take the edge off. I don't like it real sweet. That's typically my first meal of the day, and I'll have some water. Usually when I first wake up, I had a little problem with dehydration. Didn't know that. Stumbled across that with a blood test. I wasn't drinking enough, and it was kind of causing me to not progress as well. So I should start over. When I first get up in the morning, I drink a bottle of water. Usually within an hour or so, I'll have my first meal of the day, which is something and scrambled eggs. And then I'll usually get another, um, some more hydration in. And then my second meal of the day is some type of fat and protein. It could be ground beef, again, steak, briskets, lamb. Sometimes I'll do chicken or seafood, but not too often because it's not fatty enough. And I do use sauces and condiments. I use sugar-free barbecue sauces. I use, like I said, salsa, guacamole, tomato sauce, Alfredo sauce, just different sauces. And that's where I get the lion's share of my carbohydrates from, is from condiments and sauces. I do use some onions and peppers and things to season my ground beef a little bit. Again, so I get little bits of carbs through that, but I don't eat fruits or vegetables with any regularity. really unless I'm out or if my family's here. Like my family was here a couple weeks ago and they made a big pot of mixed vegetables. I had some, but that's not a normal thing for me. And I don't even like fruit. Never liked fruit. I only ate fruit my whole life because I thought I had to. I thought I needed it to live. But I don't even like fruit. My favorite fruit is a tomato. So, really, yeah, that's not a problem for me. I do like vegetables though. I do like vegetables. I like broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower, green beans. I mean, I grew up eating that kind of stuff. I don't really eat it much anymore when I'm out, or like I said, if somebody makes it, but there's none in here. There's none in the house. You ain't gonna find none of that stuff in my cabinet. It's pretty heavy, meat and that kind of stuff. So that's why I say I consider myself a carnivore, even though some people would, criticize or nitpick about it. But I eat as much as I want. And again, this is a thing that I know I got to try to figure out. I'm better than I used to be, but I have always been, even in my old life when I was eating the wrong things, more of a grazer. I don't eat big meals that often, like maybe a holiday or something like that. But even when I was eating the wrong things, I would just eat all through the day. And so I'm trying to work on that. I do the same thing now, except I don't eat the wrong things. But I'll go and have a few pieces of steak, then an hour later have maybe some egg salad, and then a few hours later have a sausages or something. And I tend to do that, and I think, that's not the best. I think you have better results if you like just have like a small eating window and longer um, periods of not eating. So those are things that I've got to work through. Again, I don't obsess about it or lose a lot of sleep about it. I know that I'm miles ahead of where I used to be. But I just want to try to get better, and I have definitely gotten better over time at, trying to eat bigger meals and snack less in between and then close my window because the way my life is, my average day is from like 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. Yeah, I
Oh
know.
my word.
Yeah, I don't sleep that much. I get my dad's like that too.
Yeah.
I just don't need a lot of sleep. My dad, he's kind of that way as well. So that's a typical day for me. So because I'm literally awake for that long, I get hungry at different times and
Yes.
so again, those are the little, I guess, micro struggles that I have, but again, I'm so far ahead of what I used to be in terms of my diet. And I'll keep chiseling away at it. I keep
Right
chiseling away at it
on.
and keep working at it to get better. Definitely want to pick up my activity level. This year, pick that up somewhat, and like I said, work on less snacking. But other than that, I'm very happy with my results. I'm happy with how I feel. I've gotten a lot of my life back, even with just losing 50 pounds. And again, I just think it'll be a slow, steady kind of slog, over the course of my
Yeah.
life, losing. I'm perfectly happy. If I lose 50 pounds a year
Yes.
and just keep, every year lose 50, lose another 50, 5 years
Mhm.
from now, even 3 years from now, it'll be a whole, different world for me. So yeah, I'm good that way.
I love it. I love it. So, can you share what are some actual non-scale victories that you've had? Because I know you're saying that you lost 50 pounds and then some, but what about inflammation, the mental fog, your mental wellness, if mental health was ever an issue for you,
I never
or
had any of those type of problems, Rose. I'm just very lucky that way. I
yes,
never had mental
yes,
fog. Okay. As far as non-scale victories, the biggest thing is mobility. I couldn't stand long enough to shave. I used to have trouble just like getting my trash out to the curb and things like that. So that's the biggest thing. Again, I just didn't have a lot of those other problems. Um, now looking back, um, something that we know that people who live our life, especially like the zero carb folks, you don't go to the bathroom very much. I used to go to the bathroom, two or three. I'm talking about, number two. I go number one a lot. I go number one a lot more than I used to. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm wearing a path in the carpet to the bathroom for to urine, because if you when you're living ketogenic life, boy, you cannot hold on to water. I mean, you just, so it's like, yeah, I used to go maybe two or three times a day max. Now it's five or six times a day for that. But as far as, bowel movements, yeah, I used to, go two or three times a day, routinely, just after every meal, I mean, um, but now it's not uncommon to go every other day. Um, and I don't pass gas anymore, I mean, it's, but see, I never saw those things as problems, like little indigestion. I never had any serious indigestion problems. I never took any, never had acid reflux or any of that kind of stuff. But sure, there'd be some times you eat some stuff and you burp a little bit and you're a little gassy and that. I don't have any of that anymore. Now, I didn't see it as a problem because everybody had. I mean, everybody in my family was gassy, and so I never thought it was a problem. I mean, everybody went to the bathroom every day. It's like, but looking back, I'm like, well, maybe it was a problem, because I'm not gas anymore. I mean, I haven't passed gas in months. I mean, so it's like, was it a problem that I didn't realize? Yes. But I just didn't see it that way because again, everybody in my family it was normal. It was normal to have gas. It was normal to have a little indigestion or that kind of stuff. Everybody had Pepto-Bismol in their cabinet or something like that. That was normal. But now, yeah, I don't know that it is normal. you know. But as far as the other stuff, that just wasn't my experience. I'm very, very, very lucky. I guess I hit the genetic lottery. My buddy Adam Lacey, shout out to Adam. He always tells me you're just a freak of nature. It's like, how can you be 550 pounds with an A1C of 5? And
You
fasting
are a
glucose at
lucky
96.
soul.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even my
Very
blood
lucky soul.
pressure. When I would go to the dentist or something, they would take my blood pressure. They would always take it twice. And I'd be like, why? And they're like, well, we just want to take it again just to be sure, because it was always lower than they expected. And they'd be like, well, for a guy your age, your size, we expected it to be a little higher, but no, it's right. I'm like, yeah, I ain't got no wife and kids. That's that's what I used to tell.
Oh,
That's how
no
you tell.
fair, no
I said, I
fair.
got no wife and kids. I got no
Mhm.
stress. I was like, so yeah, that's why my blood pressure is not. It was a
Mhm.
little high, but not overly, not what they would expect it to be.
Yes.
At my. So I'm very just like I said, I hit the genetic lottery that way, that I didn't have any of the problems that I should have. At this age and at this weight. So it's just a blessing. But no, I hear people talking about all the issues they have had and all the medications. You mentioned Kerry at Homestead How
Yeah.
he has a bin. You've probably seen it if you've ever
Yes.
seen his of
Yes.
all the medications he used to be
Yeah.
on. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, I thought it was a prop
Oh,
when I
okay.
first, yeah, and one time we were talking and I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious, man," because me, I'm kind of silly and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one time he was like, "Yeah, if you want to get off your medications, you should try," and he had this thing, and I thought it was a prop. I just
Mm,
thought he was just using it for effect.
sure.
So I said to him one day, I said, "That's hilarious, man. I love that. Where did you get that?" He goes, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "These are the medications I was on."
Mm, 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 mm.
I'm like, "What?" He goes,
Yeah.
yeah. I said, all of them at the same time? He goes, no, 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 that not all at the same time. I said, from the same doctor? He said, no, no, different doctors, but at various stages of my life, different I used to take every one of these medications.
Mm, mm.
I'm like, Carrie, I thought that was just a joke. I thought that was a
Mm.
prop. I thought you were
Oh
just
my
trying to be silly.
goodness.
He's like, nope. So that's not,
Yeah.
again, that wasn't my experience. Other than penicillin or
Yeah.
amoxicillin or whatever, I had strep
Yeah.
throat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never taken any other medication. Never spent a night in the hospital. Just, just heavy. So yeah, I can't speak to I think it's wonderful and I love to hear the stories because
Mhm.
it helps me in my evangelism.
Yes.
hear all the different ailments and all the different problems that people have,
Mhm.
and to see them off the medications and the
Yeah.
infertility, the dementia and all the different
Mhm.
things. I love that because I
Mhm.
can then share
Mhm.
people when I meet somebody who's suffering from a skin
Yeah.
condition, suffering from some other type of issues. I can say, hey, have you ever tried ketogenic living? Have you ever
Right.
thought about changing your diet? I know
Right.
somebody who had brain fog. I know somebody who was on anxiety or depression medication.
Yeah.
I know somebody, even though that wasn't my path,
Right.
I
Mhm.
know somebody who's off their type 2 diabetes medication or
Mhm.
who's off
Mhm.
their blood pressure medication. I can speak intelligently about that and share videos, share stories with people. That's why it's important to me to be a part of the community, to listen to people's
Yes.
stories and that so I can share.
Mhm.
Because one thing that I want, if people don't hear anything else that I say
Mhm.
or that
Mhm.
we say, I personally think the most important thing that we can share with people is that ketogenic living is not just a weight loss program.
Right.
We are pigeonholed as keto people, as weight loss people. When I talk to people about ketogenic living, oh, I don't need to lose any weight. Yeah, but you've been on blood pressure medication for 15 years. Or you're 150 pounds, but you've been on diabetes medication for 6 years. Or you got a skin condition, or you're on anxiety medications.
Yeah.
So you're not
Mhm.
healthy.
And it
And
can all be improved.
Absolutely. So we have
Yes.
to share this message of total health and wellness. And that
Yes.
ketogenic living is about total health and wellness. It's not just about weight loss. Sure, you'll
Right.
lose some weight. Most people do, but it's about so, so much more than that. We have to, I think, share that message with people and have it resonate with them. We're not just here to lose weight. We're here for total health and wellness.
Amen, amen, amen. And everybody's picture of health looks totally, totally different.
Sure.
And the fact that you have shared your story with my audience today, I am so, so thankful for this opportunity to get to know you better and for you to share your story. But there's one more thing that I want to ask you.
Mhm.
As we close out, if there's somebody out there that's struggling, that doesn't feel me, that doesn't see me, but feels you and sees you and can identify with some of your story, what would you leave for the person today that's in the place that you may have once been or where you're going to?
For sure.
Any
I
words
try.
of wisdom?
Sure. I mean, that's really what I do on my channel and try to, it's kind of my, I guess, calling or whatever, if you want to call it that, or just my, the feeling that I have is I want to reach people who were like me. And when I say who were or who are like me, I mean people who, I was a happy fat guy well into my 40s. I was that dude. I mean, I was Big Daddy, Papi Grande. I was doing my thing, sis. I didn't have any health problems that I knew of. I had no problems with the social, the ladies, and none of that kind of stuff. I was living my best life. My money was right. My game was tight. I was doing my thing, and you know how it is, sis. Back in the day, we had a lot of smooth big brothers out there. We had Heavy D and Men at Large and Joe Levert and Luther Vandross. So the big brothers was winning back in them days. Okay, so I was from that era, and I was good, with that. But I was headed in a collision course with Father Time, and Father Time will catch up with you, and so I was forced to make some changes, but I want to reach the people who um, are afraid because of what their doctors have been telling them. I want to reach the people who don't know anything about this lifestyle whatsoever, have never even heard about it. All the people who have been lied to about what they should be eating, all the people who are out there trying to lose weight and wonder why it's not working. My channel is not, for the carnivore, for the zero carb carnivore. There's not a lot for us to talk about. I mean, I can maybe make you laugh or smile or encourage you or whatever. We can talk we're already in the family. I want to reach the people who are outside of our tent. I want to reach the people. I want to talk to the guy that still got the donut in his hand. Okay, I want to talk to that guy and tell him what's going on. But in terms of words of encouragement, um, I would just tell people the same thing I always tell them is to focus on their own life, their own path. This is not a race. It's not a contest. You don't have to try to out keto anybody. Um, find out how many carbs you're eating in a day. Work to get that number as low as you can. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. It doesn't matter the ups and downs and the backs and forth. For some people, it's going to be more difficult, but you will feel better. You will be healthier if you're eating a high fat, high protein, low carb diet. So if you're eating 500 carbs a day, let's get it down to 400. If you're eating 400, let's get it down to 300 because invariably what happens with people, and I've in my brand of ketogenic evangelism, again, I talk carb numbers and I say, hey, what's your carb number? How many carbs do you eat? 90% of people say I have no idea. But those same people will come back to me a week or two later and say, man, I'm eating about 400 carbs a day. Well, now I got you because you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it now, and you're counting them. So I say, okay, now I'm not going to whack you in the head with a steak, ribeye steak, and be like, well, that's too many. You need to get out, throw all that stuff out. No, you're eating 400 a day. Let's get that thing down to 300 next week. Let's get that thing and then come back. Okay, I'm cutting out my drink sugar. I'm starting. Yeah, let's get it down to 200. Well, now they start feeling better,
Yes.
and now I don't have to say anything to them.
Mhm.
Now they're coming back to me, be like, man, I'm gonna try to go zero carb for tomorrow or this or that or the other because they're feeling better. Excuse me. Oh, good grief, something in my throat there. But when they start feeling better and that carb number comes down, now the rest is history. Now you
Game
can't
on,
stop,
game on.
you can't stop them now. They're going to
Mhm.
get the number down on their own. So you got them from 400 to 200. They'll take it the rest of the way because they
Right.
see the improvements, they see how they feel, um, and the sky's the limit.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and
Happy to
getting
do it.
the opportunity to know you. And I love that you are old school, you're realistic, and you're setting your own expectations. So stay on. I'm going to stop the recording in a second. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation today. I will include Russ's information in the show notes, and please reach out. Please subscribe to his channel. Ask him any questions that you need to ask him for clarification, or if you just need some guidance, or there's a lot of similarities, or because you're a male and you can identify with another male. Whatever your reason, please feel free to follow, like, and subscribe to both of our channels, really, and to reach out to him. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.